Hello and welcome to Paper Crafting with Tracy. Today we're going to be using this Sailing Home stamp set and the matching coordinating dies, and this is the card that we're going to do today. And I'm going to introduce the technique of brayering as well. This actually isn't a piece of paper that comes in that pattern. It actually is a piece of white paper to which I have added the layers and the colors to make the flag pattern on there. So I'm going to show you how to do that. And then this is what the inside of the card looks like. So it can be a very masculine card, which is sometimes a little bit challenging to make. So we're going to start with making the striped pattern on the card. So I'll just put that aside there. I'm just going to get a piece of scrap grid paper here that I can use as a background because this is a little bit messy. So I've just got a piece of Whisper White here, or basic white, and its measurements are 3 3/4 by 3 3/4. So I will turn this around here. I'm just going to line it up on my grid paper just so that it's somewhat even there. And I'm going to just take another piece. You can see where I was doing this before, and I'm going to line it up. So when I look at my grids, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And I've got 3 different colors that I'm going to use. And I'm going to actually do them into 4. So I'm going to start off with the first one. I'm going to do these in layers of 3. So I'll just come down 3 and over 3. And by doing that, it makes it easier. So it's a nice even pattern. So the first color I'm going to use is some balmy blue. So I will get that out. And I've got a brayer roller here. So if you start with your lightest color, and actually I'm going to start just with the plain white, we will roll her up. And when you're brayering, it's really important, don't go back and forth like this, because then you actually only ink up part of the sponge. You want to roll it and just keep running in the same direction. Then the easiest way is if you start off the paper, it helps get rid of any lines, and then just keep coming over top. And then you can see how that works out. Okay, just like so. And I'll probably put just a tiny bit more on. So again, start off the paper and then just come across. Now, compared to the basic white, this looks like I've added quite a bit of color to it, but once you get going with your other colors, it actually won't look like as much. So I'll just put this balmy blue aside, and the next one I'm going to use is Pacific Point. Now I'm just going to keep using the same brayer sponge because they're all kind of the blue family. So now is when I'm going to get my mat over top, and I'm actually going to go get this lined up, and I'll just move it up this way more. I'm going to start in the corner, and I want to go in by 3. And actually what I did when I first did this, I'll start in by 6, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So in by 6, and then over to this solid line, just like so. And now I'm going to take actually, sorry, I'm not quite thinking of that. I want to go in by 5. So I will go in by 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then in again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's easier if I count backwards the other way, then it actually shows up better. Okay, so 3, then we go over by 3 and down by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There we go. That's better. So in by 3, over by 3. That's what I was looking for. It just wasn't looking right going the other way. Because I want this corner to stay light. And now I'm going to take my Pacific point. Sorry about that. And again, starting off, and I'm just going to come over, and you can see that's starting to get a little bit darker. A little bit different color blue. And just like so. And over I go, and it doesn't take much. So that when I take this away, you can see I've got a little square here. And I'm going to fix that in a tiny bit. Then I'm going to come in again, 3 more, and up 3. So I'm in. And you can do whatever measurements you want. I just wanted it even. Okay, like so. And now I'll take that one away. And now I'm going to actually use Night of Navy because I wanted it quite dark in contrast. So again, ink up your brayer. And just starting off, and you're going to come over. And you can see that adds yet another dimension of blue. So I'll move that over, and I'll start off on this side, and I'll just come over. So you can see it darkening quite a bit, and we'll just go over that end. You can make it as light or as dark as you want, like so. And now you can see that. Now I want to go down here and just fix this tiny little one here, just because I want it just ever so slightly darker. So I'm going to actually go back to my balmy blue, and we'll just rub some of this off for a moment. See it, there's quite a bit of ink on there. And again, 3 and 3. Because now is when you see just how light that started off. So I'm going to put a tiny bit of balmy blue back on there, and I'm just going to go over that ever so slight in that corner. I'm not worried about going over the rest of it. It's not going to make too much difference over the rest, but just by going that little bit more, now you can see there actually is one more little corner. I could actually even add a tiny bit more to that. So, see, the more you add, the little bit darker it gets. There we go. And that is all we do to make our paper. So now, I'll get rid of this over here. I'm going to get my paper cutter. I can get rid of this piece here. And what you're going to do with your paper turner is I wanted to cut it on the diagonal. So I'm just going to line up my points. And ideally, if everything lined up okay, all of these points here will line up. Or it'll be fairly close. So I think it was off maybe just ever so slight, and just cut it. Actually, it looked pretty good. And there's your striped paper. So now it's all just about card assembly. So all I did was take these two ends and match them up like this. Okay, and tape that down. So we'll do that. Get my Stampin' seal here. And again, just paying attention. So it's this edge I wanted to put some tape on. Just like so. And now I can line that up. And just line them edge to edge. They should be the exact same size. And there's your flag pattern. Now it's just a matter of assembly. And I'll just get my ink pads away. So I'm going to start off with just getting a piece of Pacific Point. And I'm going to tape the back of this. It's one thing with brayering, you end up with it all over your nails. But that's okay. It eventually all washes off. So we'll just put get some tape on there. And now I will mat this on here. Like so. And now I can stick that on my card base, which is Night of Navy. Okay, so I've scored it the Pacific point is 5 1/4 by 4 inch, and of course your card base, which is just taking a piece of 8 1/2 by 11. And so here you've got your 8 1/2, and here is just cutting that 11 in half, so 5 1/2, and then you score it at 4 1/4. So I'm going to be mounting it that way. However, I find it easier to build the card front and then fold it, and that way I don't have to deal with a crease. So we'll just mount that on. So I hope you're enjoying these tutorials. And if you do, I would appreciate it if you liked or subscribed to my channel. You can also sign up for card making classes, monthly card making classes. Okay, so there is my mounted flag. Now I'm going to take out of this sailing away or sailing home stamp set, I want to get the lighthouse. So I've already mounted that on my block here. I'll get a piece of basic white, and I just used black, so my memento. And because my stamp is larger than my ink pad, I'm just going to turn it over and ink it up this way. I find I get a better ink in. Okay, so that's all inked up. I'll just line that up down here at the end. So I will take, there's coordinating dies that go with this set. So I've got a coordinating lighthouse that goes with that. And then for my sentiment, I used this shape here. So I'm going to go take those over to my cut and emboss machine, and we'll cut those out. And here we have it. So we're going to mount our lighthouse. So I'll just tape the back of the lighthouse. And you could choose to put some dimensionals on there. I didn't. I wanted the lighthouse to be flat. And I'll just mount that on here. And now before I put my sentiment on, I'm going to stamp it. So sometimes I find you can, with these new clear blocks and that sort of thing, it's pretty easy to get your stamp in there, but otherwise I could have stamped the cardstock first and then put it through my machine, either or. So I'm just using the Set Sail in the Direction of Your Dreams, and again this time I'm going to stamp with Night of Navy. Okay, so I'll ink up my Night of Navy here. There we go. And I'm just going to put that right in the middle of my stamp, or of my die there. There we go. Put that aside and put my ink aside so I don't accidentally get it on stuff. However, I found that was a little bit stark against this. So what I did was just took a sponge and I just inked up a tiny bit of navy. You can use just plain old sponge that I cut out. They're available in the catalog. Or there's also sponge daubers. Okay, but I already had one of these on the go. So I'm just going to go along the edge. It just takes some of the stark contrast away when you're mounting it on a patterned or a colored background. Okay, and then you can bring some in to the inside a little bit. Okay, with some of my other cards, I've been known to take even a lighter sponge and just dab lightly over it. Okay, but that's all I wanted to do. I'll put it a little bit more here. And now I'll get some dimensionals for that. So with Stampin' Up, we have two different sizes of dimensionals, but I'm just going to use the regular dimensionals here, and I'll stick that on. So you're going to need a couple for this. I'll probably use 3. Take the backing off. And now I will mount that to my card here. So I'm just lining it up so that it's centered, and there we go. So there's the card front. Now we'll do the inside. So with the inside, I'm just again going to take a piece of basic white, and it is just the same. Well, it's 5 by 3.75 inches, and all I did was I took, again from the Sailing Home stamp set, I just took the small sailboat. So I will get that mounted here. Get this small sailboat out and a clear block. And I just used, again, the Night of Navy. So we'll just get some ink on there. I can look to make sure I've got it all. Yeah, there we go. And I just put it down here in the corner. Like so. And that was all the inking I did, so I'm just going to close my Night of Navy before I get it on stuff. And now I'm going to mount that to my Pacific Point, which is the same as the front, which is 4 inches by 5¼ inches. So I'm going to mount that on here. However, before I get it on there, I do have from our catalog, our new mini catalog, I can't remember the name of the suite. Anyway, it's one of the male designs, but they've got some of this Night of Navy twine here. So all I did was just kind of measured out. I doubled it, measured out a little bit, and then cut it. I'll just get my ribbon scissors here. It's always good to have a pair of scissors that are just for ribbon. I tie a piece of ribbon on it, and that way that's all you use it for is ribbon. Because by cutting paper, by cutting other things, especially if adhesives and that sort of thing, you actually end up dulling your scissors, and then it makes for not as clean of a cut with your ribbon scissors, or with your scissors. So that's all I did. Now I'll get some tape all the way around the edge. You could have wrapped all the way around the white with the twine. I'm all about saving my embellishments. So all I'm going to do is double it, like so. And I anchor it down on one side, and before I anchored it to the other side, I actually put a twist into it and then anchor it down. Okay, nobody's the wiser that you didn't go all the way around. And then we'll mount that to our Pacific Point cardstock. And now I will mount this to my card base. And there you have it. So now I will actually fold it. And there is our nice nautical themed everyday card. You could use it for somebody traveling, almost a congratulation. You could use it for anything. And then you're inside. So I hope you've enjoyed today's edition of Paper Crafting with Tracy. And I again invite you to subscribe to my channel, and happy stamping.